I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. The video feed got cut off right on cue. Hey, it's an event happening at 12 my time. It has a lot to do with dogma and taboo. And they cut off the feed because I'm talking about something that proves them wrong. All of them. So they just sending me a message. But I don't care because they're wrong. Hey, the taboo on dogma. Anyway, let's continue because I was just talking about this, and then again, it just happened at the crucial moment when I was talking about the tension itself, the vacuum, space itself, the curvature of space, the tension that creates gravity in the first place. So gravity itself generates the first move, the primordial source of motion that generates energy and creates life in the first place and light. You see? It's not a coincidence, but it doesn't really matter. I don't care. I don't care. This is much more important than that event. So then again, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So then again, so what's gravity then? So gravity is this motion, this force, right? That generates the first move, the primary source of motion that kicks into polarization, electromagnetism, and then that leads to spherical energy, fusion reaction at the sun, at the heart of the sun, at a star, and then light comes as an emergence, as a byproduct because of escape velocity, because of all these different natural phenomena that lead to hydrogen and electrons and photons and all these different things that create life as a result. Okay? So this is life. We're talking about infinity here, creation itself, the creator. The creator. This is the creator. The creator is spherical energy. So let's understand what gravity is then, because gravity, then what's gravity then? Hey, so that's the thing. Hey, what is this force? What's gravity that generates, this first movement? Hey, the first mover, the prime mover, the first move that generates everything. Hey, creates life, the sun, and all that. So what is it? What's gravity then? Hey, we know it as the vacuum in physics, as the force field, as the field, as space, as the curvature of space. Hey, those are the terms. But in reality, it's tension. That's what it is. If you really want to understand it, it's tension. But then you gotta think, tension. But where is the tension coming from? Right? You gotta understand this. We are creating a sun here. It's the electromagnetic field of the sun. Hey, the first pulse, just like the human heartbeat pulse, is the first pulse. Hey, is the first pulse that generates the spark, that ignites the fusion reaction at the epicenter of the heart of the sun. So life itself is formed in the way of light forms that it leading to density and stuff on biology and planets and things, right? This is important. So what's that pulse? Just like with the human body is the example of the biology scale of the same mechanism, pulse of life, the pulse of creation, this oscillation, right? Then, so what generates the actual pulse that generates life in the first place? Hey, what generates gravity? That's the question, hey, everyone wants to know. So then it's at this tension. It's called tension. It's actual tension. Tension. Tensa. It's a tensa. In physics, it's known as a tensa. It's oscillation. It's oscillation. It's oscillation. Oscillation is the oscillation is the it's like the it's a pulse, really. In like it's just like a cycle. In physics, it's known as a cycle. It's just the time it's a revolution. It's the time that it takes energy itself, whatever at that scale, to turn on itself, which is spin again, which is creation itself, the sphere. Because infinity is this spherical nature that creates all that. So tension Where is this tension? The field. What's the field? What's space? What's the vacuum? What's the curvature of space? That generates gravity. What's that? Where does it come from? Where does this tension come from? This oscillation? Well, this oscillation at the galactical scale, which is where the sun is, because the sun is in a galaxy, and a galaxy has an infinite number of stars and suns and things, So then again, our sun is inside a galaxy and we exist because of it, So then again, it's scales of infinity. But what generates that gravity at that level so our sun forms? The tension itself. Well, that oscillation, the tension comes from the surface, of the sphere. The surface of the sphere itself, That's where it comes from. The tension, the tensa is the sphere of the galaxy. The galaxy has a sphere, an electromagnetic field of its own that generated its own singularity, its own wormhole, black hole, its own vortex, its own escape velocity, its own gravitational center of gravity, its own singularity at the epicenter of this point where gravity at that scale of the galaxy did the primary source of motion and generated the first motion that generated all the conditions for gravity itself to create polarization, electromagnetism, and spherical energy that formed all the energy that came out of the escape velocity, the singularity, the epicenter, the wormhole, the hat, or the black hole of the actual galaxy itself, and light, and it got emitted as a result. It's a fusion reaction happening at the hat of the galaxy. And then it creates all the light that's spewed out, and then it forms into stars and things. So you see, it's an infinite cycle. It's a sphere, spherical energy, again, but at an even bigger scale. But because we're talking about scales, we're talking about the scale of the sun, which is how you understand the notion of infinity in the first place. So then you can understand how this replicates into infinity, and then it makes sense. But when you break it down into our level of consciousness and self-awareness, then you understand that nature, infinity itself, creation itself, is conscious and self-aware. Just like us, because it's an organizing agent. Creation creates creators. And the creation itself gives us its own, we add the replication of it at a different scale of density. So that's why we're conscious and self-aware, because infinity itself is conscious and self-aware, but we're just at a different density, the biological density. And that's why we have a pulse, a lot of life, of creation, the heartbeat that generates the electromagnetic field, which is spherical in nature. It's energy that gives us life so we can be conscious and self-aware and create. And the earth has its own electromagnetic field. You see, it's a scale, it's into infinity. And then if you go infinitely small, like smaller than the human body, then you go into the cell that makes up the human body, and then the cell has its own electromagnetic field. That has a pulse itself due to the mitochondria and a few other elements. That is the energy source of the cell that generates that pulse at that scale. And then again, you go into, and what is that? What are these things made of? Well, those things are made of what? Well, these things are made of atoms, and atoms then again have their own electromagnetic field. That's spherical in nature. So it goes to infinity, to the first oscillation, to the first move, which is infinite. You will never find it. What you would understand is the nature of it in the physical terms, which is the sphere, which is what I'm trying to explain, is the motion of gravity. So what is gravity? Gravity, if you look at the sphere, imagine this is spherical energy. Is the force field of, say, the galaxy. Just like the force field of the human body, the electromagnetic field, or the electromagnetic field of the sun, or the electromagnetic field of the earth. Is the same. It's the electromagnetic field of the earth, the electromagnetic field of the hat. It's the same. It's the electromagnetic field. So it's electrical. It's a sphere. Well, that has a surface. The sphere would have a surface, just like the earth has it's a physical object, and this toy is a physical object and has a surface, right? That's why we know the sphere is infinite, because we understand that if we walk around the sphere, the surface is infinite, is endless, is boundless, is limitless, and it meets the properties of infinity itself, right? But if you understand that notion, then you apply it to the physical, to the energetic level of physics, and then you understand that the tension of the sphere, of this energy field, that tension, the tensa, that because it's a sphere, so it has a curvature. Hey, and that's the curvature of space, the vacuum itself. Okay, the tension, the tensor around the energy sphere, and that tension is an oscillation, it's a pulse. Hey, an oscillation is vibration. An oscillation leads to vibration. Vibration leads to a pulse, and a pulse leads to a wave, and a wave leads to a frequency, and frequency leads to resonance. And that's the resonance of the sphere, the tension, the oscillation. Is that is the curvature of space. That vacuum, space itself, the curvature of space, the vacuum, the field that generates gravity, that at that scale of the galaxy is so much tension, It's so much tension. There's a lot of tensors because it's big. It's generating a lot of energy, A lot of light, a lot of elements, a lot of stars are being formed within a galaxy, a lot of planets. It's a lot of motion. It's a lot of angular momentum, a lot of electromagnetism. It's a big engine. A lot of polarity, a lot of gravity, a lot of force. It's a big spherical energy. Because of that tension, there will be places across it in its own sphere, the surface of it, at the size of that scale, that there will be a point in which a singularity forms. There will be a point across that sphere where a singularity forms. That first part, because the tension is so high, so much tension, is this oscillation that generates all these gravitics, all this electromagnetism, all these natural phenomena, all these occurrences. And where there is enough space and the diameters are ideal for another sphere to form within the space of that bigger sphere, that tension breaks. It gives way. Like in normal physics, when something gives way. Because it's a critical mass, it reaches a threshold, it reaches a scale. Then again, it's all about scales. It's like a bubble when it bursts. It reaches a threshold, a scale, a critical mass. And that is the tension, and the tension of that sphere. And because of it, it reaches a point in which a singularity is formed as a result. And then that's the first gravity, is the first primordial source of motion. And that motion is what generates the epicenter of it, the wormhole, the vortex that generates a star. That's why there is an infinite number of stars in a galaxy, because there's this infinite number of tension in the sphere that is huge at the epicenter of the formation, because the galaxy itself, the galaxy itself formed as a result of the critical threshold and the tension of a bigger sphere that this galaxy is part of. And these spheres are known as quadrants and things, and quasars and things like that. Maybe I'm wrong about the quasar. I think I'm wrong about the quasar. It's called a quadrant of space, meaning what we know as the universe. So it's this bigger space, this bigger tension. This is part of a bigger surface, a bigger surface of a bigger sphere that has its own singularity at the heart. And that bigger sphere, because of it gave way because it's so much energy, it's generated the conditions because it's infinitely expansion, right? You see a sphere, and the sphere has volume, it has a surface, right? And that surface covers space, it covers a lot of distance. We're talking gigantic distances here because infinity is infinite, so it's infinite distance that it covers in a way. And within it there's tension everywhere. So there will be a point in that tension that generates a singularity because it's enough vacuum, it's enough space to create a vacuum. Meaning it creates the conditions for the motion to happen, and this motion is this toroidal force, which is spherical in nature, and then the first singularity happens, and when it happens, then a star forms. And if it's a galaxy, then like quadrants, which is like a cluster of galaxies. A big cluster of galaxies. Because imagine a galaxy like a dot. like a star. It's a star on itself. It has its own electromagnetic field. But it's just packed with life, because it's stars and planets and stuff. And there's an infinite number of galaxies out there because everything is infinite. So a quadrant is like a cluster in existence, in infinity, that we call the universe. But in reality, it's infinity, it's existence, it's eternity. And in that location, then there's this electromagnetic field again, this spherical energy with its surface. And in that surface, you have each of those spaces where the vacuum kind of meets the requirements because it reaches a critical threshold because of the tension. The tension is so high that it needs to be released. It needs to be released because it's oscillation, it's vibration. Too much tension of the surface of the sphere at that scale. And because of it, it generates a vacuum in the critical space. The curvature of space of that surface finds that place in the vacuum to form that singularity, and then that forms into a big electromagnetic force field that generates the singularity that creates a galaxy. And then the galaxy, you see, goes to infinity. And then you have bigger ones that are bigger space, because infinity is infinite, right? Infinite, endless, boundless, of what? Of this big sphere that's infinite. And it has infinite tension on the surface of it, oscillation. And then at that scale, there will be a moment in that scale of infinity, which is huge and gigantic, in which there will be the curvature of its surface itself, the tension of its surface meets the critical threshold, it meets the mass, it gives, the energy gives in because there is a vacuum, because there's enough energy around it, and it generates a vacuum, and that vacuum is that it gets filled in by that, because energy gets released, because of the tension. It just gets liberated, and then it generates that singularity, boom, and that's what we call the Big Bang. It's a creation of a universe. So the Big Bang is that. The Big Bang, as we call it, is just what we see as the bang. It's just the light that we see coming from the source. But because we don't have the tools to understand, to go full circle, meaning see when the Big Bang does the pulse. Singularity itself, just like the human heartbeat. But at that scale of creation. We're still learning what the Big Bang is because we're still seeing light coming. We cannot understand that in reality it's just this infinite cycle of this infinite sphere, which spherical energy in nature, and it's just have an infinite number of oscillations and tensions and tensors. And the tension gives in at a given point in the vacuum in space itself, and it generates a vortex, and that vortex creates a universe. So that's it. That's what it is. That's creation, guys. It's a sphere. It's the tension of the sphere that generates the gravity due to the oscillation, the vibration, the tension, the pulse, the waves, the frequency, and the resonance of the sphere itself generates a smaller, because it's so big and so much energy in it, because it's infinite energy that generates this oscillation, this prime mover, that is the gravity that creates this bigger sphere, and that could be an infinite universe. It could be a universe, a quadrant, it could be a galaxy, a sun, a star, a planet, us, the human heartbeat, the pulse, like the pulse of creation. So this is what it is. This is the creator. The creator is this spherical energy, and then again, how do we conceive it in the first place? And you see, it goes to infinity. It's this like a bubble, it's energy. It's a spherical energy. It goes to infinity. So we have an infinite number of creations, an infinite number of universes, because it just keeps on expanding, because it's what it does. That comes into a bigger form, and it pops into a bigger form, because it just never ends. Because infinity is that. It's endless. It's boundless. It's limitless. It's forever. It's eternal. We just happen to be conscious and self-aware because it created us. So we understand what it is, because that's what we need to understand. Once you understand, because we are physical, conscious and self-aware, we understand the mechanism of infinity, which is a sphere, a spherical energy. That's all we need to understand, because there will be no end. because infinity is the only constant. There's no end to infinity. Infinitely small, infinite large. It goes forever. We would always learn more because this is our nature. Our nature is physical. And infinity created us, and it's a physical form, and it's spherical in nature. It's energy. Energy creates. But what he gave us the gift to create because we're conscious and self-aware. And this is the beauty of it. And why is infinity conscious and self-aware? Because it needs to be a creator. You cannot create unless you're conscious and self-aware. Like us, we create because we are conscious of our creation. We're self-aware of our existence, so we know that we created, so we can create. So infinity has the same property as we do because remember, it's an organizing agent of creation at different scales. Meaning that it replicates itself at different densities and different scales. So we are creation. Creation creates creators and creators create creation, meaning we are creation. We are the creator, just at this scale. But we are it because we are aware of it. We understand that it's infinity and it's consciousness and it's self-awareness. So that's what it is, That's exactly what it is. That's all it is to it. That's it. That is the creator. We are the creator. And we understand and acknowledge and accept with humility that the sun is the creator that created us, but the sun was also created. And it goes to infinity, but it's just densities and scales. And we are the biological scale of it, The human race is that. And what's that energy? What's that consciousness? What's that self-awareness? What is that consciousness? What is this self-awareness? Love. Because love is what makes us sentient, conscious and self-aware, really, in a way, because love comes from the heart. Love comes from the heart, and the heart is what gives us life in the first place. The pulse of life, the pulse of creation, the electromagnetic field just gets generated by this pulse, this oscillation, this vibration, this wave, this frequency, this resonance. Just like at all scales of creation, spherical energy. And that singularity creates us, and all systems go live, and then we're conscious and self-aware. We're alive, we're a creator now. And what is that? How do we create with our heart? And the highest frequency of that is love. So we are here to love. Love is creation. So love is infinity. That's why it's infinite love, infinite creation, infinite energy, purposeful love, because it's love. The mechanism, so the creator is love, just an insane scale of hugeness. An infinite scale of hugeness. It's just pure love, Pure creation. Pure consciousness. Pure self-awareness. Infinite, And he gave us the same gift, so we do the same. We create at this scale. And then because we're intelligent and we're self-aware, we understand it and we know that we are that, but just at a different scale, but we are the same. And that is what life is, That's what the creator is. That's what infinity is that self-realization. And why is that? Because infinity is that symbol, self-reinforces, self-perpetuates, self-learning. It learns on itself. Because we're part of infinity, making us infinite in nature. Because we're spherical, just like infinity itself. So then that means that we're part of it, meaning there's a feedback loop. Our consciousness, our creations, come from the mind, and the mind is powered by the energy, and the energy is from that, And when we stare at the sun and we open the portal and we build the bridge, what are we doing? We're communing with infinite energy at our scale that created us. So we're more creative, supercharging our brains. Supercharging our hearts, more loving. And is that because this why? What's why then? Because we're conscious and self-aware, right? We're conscious and self-aware, aren't we? That's what we are. We are conscious and self-aware. This is who we are. This is our nature, And because we're conscious and self-aware, we're intelligent and we can think, And what is the concept that describes infinity in like waveform, like in thoughts? It's why. Why has an infinite nature. It's the source, it's the origin, it's the root. And it's via the root of everything it created us all. So you see, the concept that we designed in language is why. To describe the meaning in consciousness and self-awareness, so we can actually, because remember, we are perception. Consciousness is that, it's senses, it's perceptions, it's sensation, so you see reality, what it is. But you have thoughts, you have thought forms, you have energy, synapse, in the end. The electromagnetic field allows us to do that, signals and signs, biochemically speaking, but still energy is expressed in the way of thought forms, thoughts, behavior, actions, feelings, all these stuff, action, all that, but it's in the end it's a form, it's a thought, it's a vision. The mind processes the senses. And what is this idea? Infinity is wise. Why is infinity? Because of its infinite nature, its infinite properties that allow us to go into abstract thinking. So then we can create, because we are creators, and then we understand that, like what I'm doing, I'm creating this video so you understand what infinity is at the physics level, so you understand infinity at the conscious level, which is why. And why is purpose, why is destination, why is calling, why is who you are, your goal, why, how is that? Because I wrote it here because it's true. Why, how is a mechanism to manifest infinity. Why, how makes infinity come true through action, because we think why, and then we, with our true self energy, our brains, we have a vision of our destination, our dream, and we make it come true. You see, that infinity comes from our mind, because the mind is that, is consciousness, is self-awareness, is infinity itself at this scale, connected with everything else through energy, because we're energy in the end, And that is a feedback loop of infinity itself, us. We are the event horizon at the biological scale of singularity. Because the notion of the sphere is that, remember, a sphere can be connect all the different locations in a sphere, all the different, the surface of the sphere, right? It has an infinite number of locations, because it's infinite, it's nature, it has no end. So, but each of those locations can be connected. You can trace it back and have a coordinate and have a location that meets an endpoint, a destination. And you draw a line and that's that coordinate, a radius or whatever. If it's a circle, it's only 360 degrees, but beyond that is an infinite number because the sphere is infinite. So then again, that's what infinity is. It's a spherical energy. And each of us, each conscious thing, each self-aware thing, a sun, a human that has an event horizon, a singularity, a pulse that's conscious and self-aware that creates, is a point in that infinite sphere. It's a coordinate, and that's called quantum entanglement. So then again, instant communication, meaning the infinity itself, creation itself, has an instant feedback loop mechanism, that of self-learning and self-perpetuation, self-reinforcement. So what we're feeling, then it gets communicated immediately to creation itself, and creation gives us a feedback on it. That's why it grows into infinity, because creators create creation. So as we keep on creating infinite, because we're an infinite number of creators, because infinity is infinite, then as we start to create, then creation itself, infinity, just expands even further because it grows and grows and keeps expanding. We are the one fueling it with our consciousness, our self-awareness. It's the feedback loop, it's the mechanism, it's the self-learning mechanism, it's the reinforcement mechanism. So it learns, self-learns, it's a cycle of infinity gets completed when everyone contributes the creation at that scale, and then the system grows and expands because it's infinite expansion, It's a sphere, it's a tension, it goes and it pops into a new infinity, and then that's what is a cycle of infinity, is that a new infinity gets created as a result of the tension of the surface of that infinity, and then it's infinite, it never ends. And we are the event horizon, we are the singularity, consciousness and self-awareness, creators ourselves, created by creation at the biological scale because of the human heartbeat. And this is it. It truly is, that's what it is. Because remember, the sphere has the connection. So because it's infinite, it has a point of reference, a coordinate. And it's a hash graph, meaning it's a timestamp, time, location, everything, where y, 1, all the values, the attributes, which is singularity, is connected to the source through energy, quantum entanglement, Everything is fed, and the information is just distributed. That's why infinity is distributed. It's distributed and networked, It's decentralized, everything. That's why it creates creators, because it's decentralized, It's distributed. That's why nature, and that's why it's an organizing agent of creation. It's always spherical because it creates creators, so the creation itself just keeps on creating infinities. But at all scales of creation, That's what it is, It truly is. This is I should get a Nobel Prize in physics for this, We'll see if they give it to me, They should, though. They should. because I came up with this myself. Anyway, so now, before I get into the visual, so I understand them, so you understand them visually, let's talk about a little bit more about infinity, and what infinity is. So, because infinity equals the sphere, So the sphere is infinite because it meets all the attributes and all the requirements in a physical form, a physical energy. So we understand that infinity equals the sphere, But then again, so what's that number? Because then again, numbers, they're expressions, mathematical expressions, where they, that we use. So where do numbers come from? Well, numbers are a byproduct of geometry, So there is numbers in geometry because there is angles and there is all these different things, all these different elements of geometry, And I have spoken about these, like the actual structure of the sphere itself is geometric, and the star tetrahedron and life itself, as we know it, the seed of life and the flower of life. I have spoken about these, what this means and all that, the meaning of scales and stuff, because we are biology in the end, That's the beauty of creation. We are forms, we are shape, we are solids. It's geometry in a biological sense, the DNA, which is infinite creation itself. And then again, it's the DNA that is this mechanism, is this infinite mechanism of creation that contains infinity itself within it. And each cell is infinite. It has this holographic nature to it, because then again, the sphere is connected at all points. You can have coordinates to all points, can connect itself, and they're all connected at the source, at the epicenter, because of the singularity of the electromagnetism and its energy that powers the whole thing. And because of this, that's why everything can be replicated from one cell, because of its holographic nature, because of the sphere. Right? So that's why one cell can replicate the human body and all the information within the human body, which is infinity itself, because we're connected to it through quantum entanglement, because we are part of this sphere of creation, which is infinite. And that's why life emerges out of this form, which is the DNA, because it's the code of existence. It's the code of infinity, the script. The DNA, the biological sense, is the code of everything. That's why the DNA, creates life, all these animals, all this stuff, it's all DNA, because it's creation itself at that level of creation, at the biological sense, which is what we are. I should get a Nobel Prize for chemistry as well, and one for biology, one for mathematics, one from physics. The list is piling up, guys, over there in Norway. I want my Nobel Prizes, guys. What you waiting for? Anyway, I don't know what you're waiting for, behind schedule. Then again, so I guess they all know me. So then again, infinity equals the sphere, That's what it is. Infinity equals the sphere, because the sphere is that, It's infinity itself, it meets the attributes. So then again, so the sphere, the geometry, the figure itself, so it's an expression of numbers, And what's that number that represents the sphere in a visual way, just like we are visual and we see the sun being spherical? It's the zero, The zero is a sphere, it's a circle, it never ends. So that's why the zero is the most important number, because it represents infinity, it represents the sphere. Everything comes out of zero, You take any number and you divide it by zero, and then you get this indefinite result, which in reality is infinity, because you cannot measure it, Cannot be measured, because how can you divide into nothingness? Then it gives you an indefinite result, because then you're dividing to a vacuum, into space itself, which is infinity itself, is the singularity, because the zero is the singularity, because it's the sphere. So then again, that's why then I named my novel, my mathematics Nobel Prize as well. I'm waiting on it. So then again, is that zero is infinity, because it's the beginning, It's the beginning of everything, the life source, everything comes from zero. All numbers come out of zero. In fact, that's what Euclidean geometry say. It starts with zero and everything comes out of it, because zero is a sphere, and then you divide it into two spheres, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it gets to infinity. And then, of course, the zero changed mathematics, and it created computation in the first place, because now we can have off-on energy, and these ones and zeros, and he just created that. You see, zero is the beginning of everything, eh? Is the angular momentum itself, is the moment, is the event horizon. Zero is the most important number because infinity equals zero, eh? And I'm going to make a video on the zero and the polarity of zero and stuff, which is what actually should give me the mathematics Nobel Prize. So I can explain it, because I haven't explained it yet in like with a proof. But I'll do it. I'm going to do that video soon. So that's what it is. Infinity equals zero, because the zero is the sphere, is the beginning, and then the sphere is infinity itself. That created everything, spherical energy, and I have explained myself at length here using proper physics. So then again, what does that mean? Well, that means that the Big Bang is just one oscillation. The Big Bang is just one pulse, one pulse of existence. What we see is just a fraction of what exists. Well, we'll get there, and these are exciting times for the human race, because we're gonna understand infinity as it is. This beautiful everything, creation itself that created us. So then if you look at those visuals there, if you look at the visuals there, if you look at the visuals there, then you would see that is very, like, I have one, then at the bottom on the left is the toroidal force itself of the sphere, from the tension of it, of the surface, and the vortex is there. Is a polarity, positive, negative, the pulse polarity, and that is what is it's known as a toroidal geometry. It's that motion that generates into like angular momentum and electromagnetic nature of the sphere. So it's there, so you can see it, and that at the heart of it, you can see right in the heart. That's the gravity itself, the first oscillation, the tension that generates the vacuum that does it because of the tension of the sphere, because of its nature. So then again, that's and then right next, so you can understand it, because the human heart has that too, the polarity, the electromagnetism of the pulse that generates everything. So it's not only replicable at the human scale, it's replicable to infinity, because the sphere is everything. Sphere is infinity, spherical energy created us all. So then again, right next to it, you actually see the mechanics of it, the motions of it, the centrifugal nature of it, the spin, the rotation, so you can see it, and it's the magnetism, because it's both sides. It goes this way and it goes this way, and that's the polarity, So it's beautiful. It's just beautiful. It's a rotation, it's a spin plus the polarization, together generating electromagnetism, waveforms, and all these beautiful resonance that we are. And then that's it, and that's the nature of the sphere. This is the motion itself, And then right next to it, I just put it because it's our scale, is the sun, our creator, the father at this scale, created the sun, created the earth, all these different things. This is this motion. So you can see the sun there, our sun, and its spin and its motion, its electromagnetism as a result of its own electromagnetic field, its own singularity. Its own event horizon, its own point of consciousness and self-awareness. That is the coordinate, that is the node that connects it. That singularity is the coordinate that connects it with infinity itself, because infinity is this sphere, and it's a surface, part of the surface. Remember, it's the tension that comes from the surface that generates the first move. It's the tension of the curvature of the sphere itself, space, vacuum. When it happens, that generates the singularity, and that is the point of creation itself that created light in the first place. There's energy, infinite energy over there. So that singularity over there is that connects all the singularities. That's when we open the portal and we build the bridge with our eyes. We stare at the sun and open our electromagnetic field of our heart, doing quantum entanglement with the electromagnetic field of the sun. So you see, it's instant communication. That's a coordinate. We're mapping it out. We're pairing it. It's peer-to-peer. It's immediate. That's why we're feeding ourselves with all this energy, boom, beyond the violet light and all this stuff. We're getting ultraviolet light, it's all sorts. I mean, we cannot see it, but then eventually your eyes adjust. Because your eyes, then you start to see much more violet stuff. Because you're evolving, You're evolving your eyes, you're evolving your brain, you're evolving because it's more light, more creation. So then again, that's that motion there in the sun, and then you can see it right next to it on Earth, because its own electromagnetic field, its resonance, its pulse, that generates life, the atmosphere, us, and then us, then you see the human body right there with the heartbeat generating that motion, the resonance of the human heart, the heartbeat, creating the electromagnetic field itself. And then that's that, that's that. It's just beautiful. This is who we are. This is truly who we are. We're infinite creators. This is our nature. This is who we are. We are the human species. We're a beautiful species. We're a beautiful race. We're all love. It's all about love. Love creates us, and it's all about love. It's all about love in the end. This is who we are. This is our nature. This is our nature. This is truly our nature. I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. Remember who we are. We're the citizens of the Republic of Planet Earth. We're the citizenry of the Republic of Planet Earth. This is who we are. This is our nature. This is our nature. This is who we are. We're the defenders of the Republic of Planet Earth. We're the leaders of the Republic of Planet Earth. This is who we are. This is who we are. This is our nature. This is who we are. We're infinite light, infinite energy, infinite creation, infinite love. We're a benevolent species. We're a heartful species, a love-based species, a heart-based species. This is who we are. This is our nature. Love you all with all my heart, with all my might. We're light spherical beings. This is who we are. We're compass. We're sundials.